Welcome to the History Foundation series, Foundation course. And in this video, we are going to discuss about the Indian freedom struggle. So, if you look at Indian freedom struggle, it is not a single incident or a single event. It's a series of events and many incidents that actually happened in and around in the Indian territory and also outside the country. So all these things can be clubbed together and we can call it as the Indian freedom movement. And so that many incidents are actually covered in this particular section, Indian freedom struggle. But because of the time constraints and because it is an overview of the Indian freedom struggle or the Indian history, we have included certain important aspects of the freedom struggle. Okay. These are the major discussion points in this particular video. One is the Regulating Act, then comes the First War of Indian Independence, which happened in 1857, and then the Indian National Congress and its formation, then the partition of Bengal. Very important events that happened during the Indian freedom struggle time period. The first one is Regulating Act. Okay, very important. Regulating Act was happening in the year 1773. So, okay, what is this Regulating Act? You will definitely have this question. So, like we already mentioned, there was a company called English East India Company and they started ruling India. Once they started ruling India, because it's a private company, there were rampant corruption and the nepotism happening during that time period, especially under the East India Company rule. So, in order to sort out this, in order to rectify this error, the British government wanted to regulate them. Okay, that is how they have actually made a legislation which came to be known as the Regulating Act to regulate the activities of the East India Company. The first act to regulate the activities of the East India Company and introduce the title Governor General of Bengal. So there are certain provisions which are included in this particular act. The one is they have introduced a new term or a new title called as the Governor General of Bengal. So till then they were all governors, Governor of Bengal, Governor of Madras, and Governor of Bombay, and suddenly a new title coming in, that is the Governor General of Bengal. And with this particular act only, the Supreme Court was established at Calcutta, and with Elijah Imbe as the first judge of the Supreme Court. It was actually established at Calcutta. It was in the year 1774 only the Supreme Court was established. And Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of Bengal. Very important information. Warren Hastings was the first Governor General of Bengal. So Regulating Act was, the importance of Regulating Act was, it was the first act or first legislation to regulate the activities of the East India Company, and there were many other regulations. On all these regulations we will be studying in detail while we are discussing about the historical underpinnings of the Indian Constitution. So the other one of the other important event is the First War of Indian Independence, that is in the year 1857 CE, 1857 year. So if you go back 100 years, you can see that it was 1757 the Battle of Plassey occurred, and in 1857 the First War of Indian Independence or the Revolt of 1857 occurred. So what is this revolt of 1857? It was actually a revolt led by the soldiers or the military personnel in the British Indian Army. So the revolt started in Meerut, and some of the major places which are actually covered during this particular revolt were Delhi, Meerut, Jhansi, Awadh, Bareilly, etc. So many other regions were also included, but mainly in the northern part of the country, and the people were participating in that, especially the rulers of a particular region, and also the soldiers or the military men who were actually working for the British East India Company. Okay, the main leaders were Rani Lakshmi Bai, Tandya Top, Kunwar Singh, Bahadur Shah Zafar. Okay, all these were the leaders during that particular time period, and Bahadur Shah Zafar was the Mughal ruler during that time period, and we have already mentioned that with the 1857 revolt, the Mughal rule came to an end. So he was the last Mughal ruler, Bahadur Shah second. Okay, Bahadur Shah Zafar. And what are the reasons for this particular war? Majorly, the reasons were the policies that were introduced by Lord Dalhousie. Okay, Lord Dalhousie was the Governor General, and whatever policies he has introduced, it actually affected the sentiments of the people and sentiments of the rulers also. He has actually abolished the pension given to the rulers, and he also introduced a new policy called doctrine of lapse, in which if a country, if a king or a queen does not have a natural heir, that particular territory will go to the British Empire. And also they have introduced many other provisions in which how they can actually acquire the power, like in the name of maladministration, in the name of corruption, they started acquiring or capturing the power of many regions like Awadh and all. So all these things affected the sentiments of the rulers. And on the other hand, if you look at the British military force, you can see that they have introduced a new cartridge, which is a greased cartridge, and that was one of the major reasons for the immediate cause of the 1857 revolt. The greased cartridge, the fat used in that particular cartridge is actually made up of the fat of cow and a pig, which were not acceptable for two important communities, that the Hindus and Muslims during that time period, and they were the part of this particular military force, and they refused to use this particular cartridge. And the first martyr for this particular revolt was the Mangal Pandey, and later it actually spread to other parts of the country also. It actually first started in Meerut. Okay, but unfortunately, the Britishers were having reinforcements, and they actually called the best and efficient officers from different parts of the country and outside the country, and they came and they actually suppressed the revolt. So it was the first revolt on a massive scale, but it was not a massive scale in the sense, not affected the entire Indian territory, but affected certain parts of the Indian territory. And if you look at the participation of people also, it was not a movement or not a revolt which got the participation of the entire Indian community or the society. It got only very minimum participation from the society. That's how it was. We actually failed in this, or we got defeated in this particular battle of or the first war of Indian independence. So, but it was a remarkable event, because that was a great learning or a realization for the Britishers. And with this, the British East India Company rule came to an end, and there started a new era, which is the rule under the British Crown, or the British government started administering the country directly from Britain. So these are the changes that actually happened, or the consequences of this particular war of 1857. Okay. Another important event is the Indian National Congress, because if you talk about the freedom movement, okay, Indian freedom movement, we cannot neglect the contribution of the Indian National Congress, INC. INC was founded in the year 1885 by an ICS, retired ICS officer, Indian Civil Servant of Service officer, that is Allen Octavian Hume. He was the founder of this, and he was very sympathetic towards the feelings of the Indians, the nationalist feelings of the Indians. And it was during the time of Viceroy Lord Dufferin this International Congress was formulated. But there was a theory which is actually associated with this, a conspiracy theory which is known as the safety valve theory, in which it says that Dufferin was also part of this, and Dufferin and Hume, Allen Octavian Hume, they were having a conspiracy to make this particular National Congress in order to act as a safety valve to vent their anger, or the people who are highly dissatisfied and highly frustrated during that particular time period. When such an organization is formed, it will actually act as a venting tool. That's why it is known as a safety valve theory. But later, in different writings or with different evidences, it is proven that it was not like that. It was because the Dufferin himself was not supporting this particular formation of the National Congress, because he was suspicious of the Hume's Congress. That is what we could understand from the evidences, or from the writings, or from the documents that we have received. So the first General Secretary of the International Congress was A.O. Hume, Allen Octavian Hume, and the first president was W.C. Banerjee, or the Vomesh Chandra Banerjee. Okay, there were major leaders were there. Many important leaders were there, like the Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Firozshah Mehta, Badruddin Tyabji, Surendranath Banerjee, Dadabhai Naoroji. All these people were actually the main leaders of this particular Congress. Okay, but initially in 1885 when it was formed, it was actually Indian National Union. But in 1886, the name Congress, which is actually given by the Dadabhai Naoroji, the Grand Old Man of India. And where it was formed, okay, what was the location? Where was the location? It was at Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College, located at Bombay. Initially, it was actually planned at Pune, but because of the cholera outbreak, they shifted the venue, and it was formed in the in at Bombay, Gokuldas Tejpal Sanskrit College. But what happened was, after the formation of International Congress, there emerged two important factions or two important groups in the Congress. One is the moderate leaders and one is the extremist leaders. So moderate leaders were mainly supporting the peaceful activities, protest and petition and all. But on the other hand, the extremist people, they have an idea that if you want to achieve something, they can actually resort to violence also. That's what they were extreme in their thought process. They wanted to achieve whatever things, they can use any method. Okay, the path or the means is not a problem in their own ways. But on the other hand, moderates were more peaceful in nature, non-violent in nature. But there were a lot of rift between both these moderates and extremists. And in 1907, in the International Congress session at Surat, it got split. Okay, the split happened. That is, the extremists were thrown out of the International Congress in that particular session. Later, they reunited, and the freedom movement continued. So it was a very large time period, and it includes a lot of information. Okay, like if from the starting of International Congress to uh, the the freedom, the Independence Day, it is a great history. Okay, it includes a lot of events also, but we have actually shortened all these things. What we need to understand is International Congress and its contribution is remarkable when it comes to the formation of Indian Constitution also. Now comes the partition of Bengal. Okay, another important event which actually happened in the year 1905. So, what is this partition of Bengal? Because Britishers were trying different methodologies and different strategies to consolidate their power in the country. And one such method was divide and rule policy adopted by them. And what they did was they divided the Bengal into two. They partitioned Bengal into two. One is East Bengal and West Bengal. And they said that it was based on the administrative convenience, or it was mainly because of the administrative convenience they are actually partitioning the Bengal. But actually, that was not the reason. They actually divided them based on the community, or based on the religion, that is the Hindus and Muslims. It resulted in Swadeshi movement because people started to focus more on indigenous goods and its promotion only, and they boycotted the foreign goods. That is known as the Swadeshi movement. The division was on the basis of religion. Majority Muslim populated region become the East Bengal, and the Hindu populated region become the West Bengal. So that's how they have actually adopted the divide and rule policy. And if you look at the Indian freedom struggle and the partition of India, this was a remarkable event, and this event we cannot forget because it actually paved the way for partition of India in 1947 as two dominions, or two countries like India and Pakistan. Okay, but later in 1905 this partition happened. It was by Lord Curzon. He was the person behind this. He was the viceroy during that time period. But because of various revolts and protests regarding this, the Bengal was reunited by Lord Hardinge in the year 1911. But that 60 years of struggle and 60 years of difference of opinion, conflict of interest, which actually culminated into the partition of our country. So hope you have got an idea about the freedom struggle, the major aspects of the freedom struggle and important events during the freedom struggle. And in the next video, we'll be discussing about the contribution of Mahatma Gandhi and his arrival and his early struggles and everything. We will be able to see that. And after that, we will see how we got independence also. Thank you.